You are listening to the Spiritual Warrior Coach with Barbara Savin, the podcast for discovering how powerful your wisdom, compassion, and courage is. Get ready to join Barbara and her guests as they explore and offer you advice on how to reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. And now, here's the host of the show, Barbara Savin.
Thank you for joining me today and welcome. I am Barbara Savin, your spiritual warrior coach, and I am here to help you reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. And I am a certified clinical and medical hypnotherapist, Reiki master and teacher, energy healing specialist, life coach, and best-selling author of Gentle Energy Touch, The Beginner's Guide to Hands-on Healing. You know, I have been helping my clients for over 35 years, and the older I get, the more wisdom seems to come through. So isn't it time that you believe in yourself? You know, your mind is going to provide you with your greatest challenges in life because it's so very, very powerful. So let's use it for positive thinking, creating harmony, balance, peace, love, happiness, and anything else that your heart desires. Because one day the world will tap you on your shoulder and say, this is your time to shine. And oh, speaking about shining, I have to bring my guest on right now. Boy, she is truly a shining bright star. And I'm going to get right to her. Her name is Jean Turner. How are you, Jean, today?
Hi, Barbara. How are you today? Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, my pleasure. And Jean is a retired Army Nurse Corps officer and served in Iraq. And she's a holistic health nurse coach. She's a licensed minister. She's an author, international speaker, radio personality, podcaster, and the CEO of Spirit of a Warrior Life Enterprises. Oh, you know, I am so thrilled and honored that you are on my show today.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And you know what, Barbara? Mostly all of that, the majority of all of that just occurred within the last year, about 13 months since retiring from the Army.
Wow. You know, before we get started, I want to truly thank you for your service. And, you know, I cannot imagine, you know, what you went through being deployed in Iraq.
Well, honored to serve. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, I know in my family, we have Air Force, Navy, Army, and now Marines. So I think we covered all the bases. But yeah, it's all about serving and loving the country that we live in, I feel. So let me, you know, I know we have so much to talk about, but can you tell my listeners maybe a little bit about your life and exactly what has gone on that brought you to what you're doing now?
So yes, thank you for allowing me to share. Born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Product of the early 60s, and grew up fairly in poverty. I mean, New York, the projects and that type of life, and knew that I wanted to do something different and not exactly follow my parents' footsteps. And so, yeah, went to school, ended up dropping out of college, married young, yada, 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 you know, started my family, divorced. And I just always had this mindset to where I didn't want to depend on anybody, right? And a lot of that's because I watched my mother. She was very meek, very timid, depend on my dad, depend on other people, and I didn't want to be like that. Mm-hmm. And so that started the journey of, even though I married young, I did find my way back to college and took up nursing. And then from there, you know, after about 8 years, I said, you know what, I'll do something a little different. And between that and catching up on student loans, I joined the Army.
Oh, wow.
And I actually joined as a reservist. And then when 9/11 hit, I knew I had to do something different. And so after 9/11, I made up my mind to leave the reserves, the one weekend out the month, 2 weeks out the year, and just go all the way full throttle, active duty, serving 24/7, 365 days a year as the Army Nurse Corps officer.
Wow. I give you so much credit for that. That's unbelievable. It's and how old are your children now? I'm just curious.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I told you I married young. And so our oldest is, I always got to count back now, 41.
Oh,
And then the twins are 37.
wow. So you really married young, didn't you? Because you were
Yeah.
raised in the 60s. I was raised in the 40s, also in Brooklyn, in the projects. And if my son is 48, my daughter's 46. But yeah, it's amazing when we look and we say, wow, where has this time gone? It's like,
Where did it go?
yeah, wow. So you got out of the service and then,
Last year.
last
I
year.
retired last summer, August 2020.
Oh, wow. So how long were you in there for?
I served a total of 25 years.
Oh, God bless you. Whew. That's a long time. And after Iraq, where were you stationed?
So after Iraq, I got stationed at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, right in the DMV area, which, by the way, is my favorite duty station of them all. Number one, I was only 4.5 hours from New York City, right? 4.5 hours from home, 4.5 hour drive. And there's so much to do in and around the nation's capital, but it was a great duty station. So I was stationed there and then returned back to Georgia. I think I've been stationed at every post, every military installation in Georgia.
Oh, I think my husband was stationed after Vietnam in Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Yes, North Carolina. Yeah.
Fayetteville.
Yeah. I was trying to think where he was.
Mhm.
And I think maybe Washington State. There was somewhere else. I can't remember though. It was such a long time ago.
Okay. Fort Lewis is in Washington State.
Thank you, Fort Lewis.
Fort
Okay.
Lewis. I
So
heard
it
it's
was
beautiful there.
mhm. It was those
Yeah.
two that he was actually from Fort Lewis, then they sent him overseas. But
Okay.
yeah, so wow, I give you a lot of credit. So now you retired, and I know that you are a nurse coach.
Yes. And many people don't know what that is. Like, you've heard of a health coach, right?
Oh, sure.
And most people, I'm sure your audience, they know what a health coach is. And they're probably wondering, but what the heck is a nurse coach, right? Well, all of that means is that I'm a registered nurse who's taken my 34 plus years experience as a nurse, my knowledge, expertise, and all of these credentials, right? That it costs tons of money to keep up with every couple of years. And I apply that in conjunction with the coaching mindset to help other people like yourself be the healthiest version of you that you can be. Me personally, my niche is I help others to elevate their wellness through lifestyle balance, resilience, and my particular passion is with those who are suffering with chronic illness or disease like diabetes, heart disease, or cancer.
Yeah, I know for myself, when after 9/11, I was so happy that my two came back, my husband and my son. They were caught up in all of that, that I actually volunteered for the home port in the Staten Island side with 9/11.
Okay.
But I also volunteered at, I think it was St. Vincent's Hospital with AIDS and HIV cancer patients, because you need to give back once you're so grateful for everything that you received, and receiving my two back, my son and husband from 9/11. All I could do was volunteer.
Right. There's something, the heart, when you have a servant's heart, Barbara, you can't help but to give. You want to give back in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You maintain this attitude of gratitude, and you just want to give it back and spread it around, right?
Oh yeah, it's been like that. I would say probably most of my life. And even doing this podcast, it's all about getting people, having people like yourself on so that others can listen to and say, wow, I need to give, Jean a call and have her help me. It's all about connecting community. I want to feel.
Mhm. I call it relationship currency.
Yes. I like that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, someone said that to me one day, one of my mentors, and I thought, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And really, when you think about it, Barbara, there is just, people are only going to go but so far in life or whatever their life's passion is by what? Building and maintaining relationships.
Because that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building relationships and honoring and trusting one another and believing and showing love, unconditional love without, without any condition, with it.
Without anything attached to it. Just love one another, love, fellow mankind, and I think now we're seeing a time to where that's very questionable right now. Everyone seems to be against one another, anti-vaxxers against vaxxers, and Republicans against Democrats, and all this fighting and infighting. Can we just not love one another? That's the greatest gift.
I look back and I say, wow, it was never like this. Even through the Vietnam War, it was never really like this. Where everybody is just like bickering and unfriending you on Facebook or whatever it may be. And I say, wow, gee, this is about loving each other. We're all human beings, and we all have our own challenges and our own opinions and everything. But that's what living here in the United States, America, is all about, is being able to have your opinion and respecting somebody else for theirs.
Right. And we're not seeing a whole lot of that lately. Like, can we just agree to disagree and keep it moving? That's what my dad, agree to disagree, and just keep it moving. But everyone, like you said, Barbara, we have a right to our own opinion, right? And just say, look, I don't agree with you, but I can respect your opinion and respect you, and just
let
live.
it go. Yeah, and
let it go.
I've actually lost friends that I've had for over 25, 30 years that said, well, I can't be your friend because, this, you believe in this. And well, then it's fine. Then it's fine with me. It's okay. I mean, I respect your opinion, but it would be nice if you did mine. But if you don't, and if you feel you're not my friend anymore, that's okay. I still love you and I forgive you and I still accept you for who you are, and we'll just let it go. And it's been about almost 2 years and they haven't contacted me.
Oh, wow. That's hurtful though, but it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah. And I said, wow, so close-minded.
Yeah, very, very close-minded. But when you've had friendships like that for so long, and it takes something just so
crazy
and right.
Crazy making, I call it crazy making. But
then you have to wonder, were they really, really, really your friend at all?
And that's what I thought. And I says, it's okay. When they choose, if they should, to come around again, then, we'll have to think about it. But I won't reject them, but I'll give it some thought.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But let me ask you, you're into holistic health. Because I know for myself, I just take supplements, and I truly, especially at this age, try to really take care of myself. So what exactly do you do, with, do you help others, or is it that you're in holistic health, for yourself?
So it's both, actually,
It's both. Okay.
Barbara. It's both, actually. And so I went from being healthy as a horse, as the saying goes, never being sick a day in my life other than a common cold, sinusitis. And then at one time after I had the anthrax shot, right? But I went from that to a suddenly healthcare crisis, which I was told one day, oh, we see a spot on your lungs. And after months of monitoring it to where it started to grow, and they biopsied it and said, oh, it's malignant. I went from healthy to that in what seemed like 0 to 5 seconds. And so going through that process, Barbara, they removed the tumor and I did have to do chemo, but going through that caused me to take a look at not only my personal health and well-being, but everything that I knew about and learned about and worked amongst the healthcare system, right? All of those years, it caused me to look at all of that differently. And so I started researching some things. I started learning more about environmental health and the environmental causes that contribute to poor health and poor health outcomes. And that's when I really started getting into holistic health and holistic well-being. Now, granted, about 3 years prior, I lived in Korea and I started, dabbling in like acupuncture and all the other complementary alternative therapies and modalities. But it wasn't until I went through that suddenly health crisis and was going through those treatments that I just developed a whole different perspective about health, healing, and wholeness. And that's when I started studying holistic health more, took a course on environmental health and things in our environment, including chemicals we use in our household, personal care products, and all of that really are not conducive to our health and well-being. And looking more into my own personal nutrition, because for years I thought I can outrun a bad diet, right?
It catches up with us.
It catches up with us, right? All the marathon running, half marathon running, but I still was eating whole boxes of ice cream as a meal and all of that. No, that does not work. And so, I started it for my personal health and well-being, because personally, I don't ever want to be sick like that ever again in my life. And then two, the more I studied it, the more and applied it to my life, the more I studied it even more. And then I end up getting my national board certification as a holistic health nurse. But so I do help other people now, since I retired from the Army over a year ago. That's part of what I do as a nurse coach. I help others on their wellness journey to help elevate their health so that they can excel, so they can, be healthier, and you got to start one day at a time and one step at a time. And it's like I tell clients, it's a marathon and not a sprint, right? It's not going to happen overnight, right? We didn't get into these conditions overnight. We didn't gain 50 pounds overnight. It's a marathon. It's going to take time, but with a made up mind, right? You talked about the mind earlier. This right here, we self-sabotage up here. So once we get this made up, we figure out our why we need to do this. And I help with the how to make this happen. Because when you go to the doctor, right? Are you not there probably 15, 20, 30 minutes waiting? And then he or she finally see you, just 5 minutes and they're out the door. They give you all these instructions without really giving you the how.
And they don't get to the root cause of anything.
No, they treat symptoms, but don't get to the root. And so, it's really, I believe, my life's work and probably what I should have been doing. But it took me, I had to go through that to really get the full understanding, because to be honest with you, and this is a transparent moment right here, I gave the best care that I could give to all my patients over all those years, but I didn't really understand what they were dealing with and going through, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, financially, all of that, until I became a patient and on the receiving end.
Oh, it's all different. It's not just the physical, it's everything.
It's everything. It's everything. How the environment affects us, their relationships, social relationships. It's all of that, the financial well-being, because when you are sick and unhealthy, it costs money. You can't work, so you're not bringing in money. Like me, thank God I was still in the Army at the time, because I couldn't work. I could not work. And those them bills, the medical bills.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Outrageous. So it affects all of that, but it didn't really finally hit me until, unfortunately, I had to go through that. So now my life's work is to help others in every wellness domain, right? Every wellness domain. And holistic health, that's exactly what it is. It's looking at the whole person,
Yes.
the whole body, to include their family, the caregiver, all of those in their circle or in their tribe that contribute to their health.
Well, that's it also. And I feel if some of your tribe is causing you to feel ill, maybe it's time to say goodbye or not, have that real, connection with them. Because other people do get us ill. It's like anything else. Their negativity wipes, stays on us, and then all of a sudden we collect all their issues into our tissues, you could say. And
I love that. I love that. Say that again. Issues in the tissues. I love that.
I always tell my clients, you don't want those issues in your tissues because it's their journey, not yours.
That's right. And once them issues get in your tissues, then they travel throughout your circulatory system, throughout your body. Next thing you know, you're walking around toxic.
Exactly. And, it's just important that we become more aware of how we feel and our environment and people we hang out with and everything else. So I truly understand where you're coming from, because that's what I mentioned to my clients. It's not just about the physical, it's you're actually breaking down spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and your physical body is last to break down. Then now you got to heal from your physical to your mental, emotional, and spiritual. And that's going to take time, because it didn't happen overnight.
It didn't happen overnight. And you're right. It takes time. Healing is a process. Now, for some, it's a longer process than for others. And a lot of it, I do believe, depends on your state before you became physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually ill. Because how we take care of ourselves during periods of wellness does affect our prognosis and recovery during periods of illness.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's why, many of my clients, I mentioned to them, you gotta forgive and accept and let go of things that just don't serve your purpose no longer. Because if you don't, and if you live in yesterday, how can you possibly heal and be present in today?
You can't. So like you said, you got to let go. You got to let go of them toxins, let go of all of that, because it's weight, it's baggage. And forgiveness, and we hear it all the time, right? It's not for the other person, it's for ourselves, so we can heal. And healing begins from the inside. It's an inside job. True health begins on the inside.
And it's a lot of work.
It is.
You have to face that negative feelings and, and say, all right, I have a choice here. Do I want to stay in you because you feel comfortable with me? Or am I going to not be comfortable and allow myself to release you? That's how I feel.
Yeah. And, there's a saying that says you cannot conquer what you don't first confront.
Yes. And boy, is that truthful.
Very true.
So, I know you wrote a book, The Spirit of a Warrior. I love the name, being on my podcast is the Spiritual Warrior Coach. And can you let us know, like, what this? I'm sure this book is phenomenal. What it's about, and what made you write it?
So, The Spirit of a Warrior is basically a self-care journey. It was my self-care journey through that cancer diagnosis and chemotherapy and all that comes along with that, like what we were just talking about. Because too many times, Barbara, we tend to focus on the person going through the diagnosis, and it doesn't have to be cancer. It can be diabetes, it can be any sickness or condition, right? We tend to focus on that person and the physical aspects of that illness or diagnosis, but not enough emphasis is placed on their emotional state, their spiritual state, their mental state, their relationships. When I was going through that, I had to isolate. Number one, because if I got sick, it could have killed me because the treatments basically zapped all of my white blood cells, right? Which helped to fight off infection. We don't look at the other wellness domains, the other domains that accompany a diagnosis. And so that's why I wrote that. But it was like Spirit said to me, the Creator said to me, you're not going to walk through this privately. You're going to walk through this publicly. Everyone's going to know you're going through this. And it was strange for me because I'm a very private person, right? And you don't know what's going on with me unless I tell you what's going on with me. Mm-hmm. So, I wrote it for those reasons. And now, did I intend to write it? No. I was asleep one night and then I woke up in the middle of the night. The Creator, God, woke me up in the middle of the night and I heard the spirit of a warrior. And during that time, I was journaling, and I never journaled before in my life, not that I could recall, at least not nothing personal. And I was journaling. And when I woke up suddenly like that in the middle of the night and heard the spirit of a warrior, I didn't know that my journal over those 9 months was going to become the book, because basically that's what it is.
Wow.
That's basically what it is.
So you listened to that voiceless voice that gave you that name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that that's also the name of my business and my brand, the Spirit of a Warrior Life Enterprise.
There you go.
But the book also includes self-care tips, because as a registered nurse, right, I wanted to share some self-care tips for others who may experience that journey. So it has over 20 plus self-care tips for someone's going through that journey. And it also addresses the caregiver, that person who is taking care of that person going through the physical manifestations, right? Because that's the other thing. We don't consider the caregiver of the person walking through any type of sickness or illness, but they're going, other than they don't have the physical manifestations, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of that, they got their own battle they're going through as well.
I can relate to that because I took care of my mom had Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. My father had dementia, and I was a caregiver for almost physically in the house with them for 2 years, but prior to that, for many, many years. And it wears you down. It really does. And, it wore me down on all levels.
Right. And did you have a point to where you got time out? Did you ever have a time out?
No.
See, the caregiver self-care and health is important, just as important, because we cannot pour out of an empty cup, right? When we're in the airplane, what does the stewardess tell us? In case of cabin pressure, something goes funky with the cabin pressure, whatever, and the oxygen mask drop, what we supposed to do? Mask ourselves first and then mask, someone else like your child or whatever, because we cannot help nobody else if we don't first help ourselves and take care of ourselves.
I found, learned that the hard way, unfortunately. But, I look and I say, all right, I think that was part of my journey to understand at a different level about me taking care of me, because if I don't take care of me, how can I, as you mentioned, take care of you? So, we're not super women. And I think that's where a lot of women actually become ill, because they think they're super women.
Come on. That's it. But look, we are nurturers by nature. We always want to make sure the spouse, the kids, everybody else is squared away, right? That's our nature. But it is in detriment to ourselves a lot of times. That superwoman cape, that big S on the back. Look, I tell folks when I'm on these speaking stages, because I speak on a topic similar to this, I be like, look, that whole superwoman mentality is so 1990s. Remember that song, I'm Not Your Superwoman? Y'all need to ditch that 90s mentality, because that is not what's up. No.
I know. I remember someone giving me a book about superwomen. I read it and I said, that's when I realized, oh my, I'm like completely being drained of all this and not realizing it, because here I'm looking to, take care of the kids, the husband, the mother, the father, and everybody else that came into my life. So yeah, we need to understand that it's okay to say no, and no is a sentence in itself, I feel.
Yes, no is an action word. No is an answer. And you're not going to make me feel guilty for saying it neither. Because some people try to make you feel guilty, Barbara, for saying no.
No more.
Mm-mm.
I say, you know what? I gave you a complete sentence. No. And of course now they look and say, what do you mean? It's no, I'm just can't do it. Just can't do it.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Exactly. And don't you feel so much better?
Yeah, because I don't have to make an excuse why I'm saying no.
Exactly.
Because sometimes you just can't do it, and it's okay. That's how I feel. And you know, my journey has been, you know, crazy also. And I look back and I say, wow, but I had to go through so much of it in order to, you know, understand, you know, me helping my clients now, because I've been doing this for about 35 years.
Wow.
A long time, maybe even longer than that, because I was actually, my grandma was a healer from Istanbul, from Turkey. And
Mhm.
so she'd do healing on me all the time. And as a child, I was able to see spirit and hear and talk to them and all this other, you know, good
Right.
stuff. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
yes.
That sounds like an interesting childhood, though.
Oh, it was. It was a little weird because my mom, you know, in her eyes, it was my imagination, but in my grandma's eyes, it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. So, and I was caught between both, you know, but I decided later on in years that I need to follow my purpose and passion, like you have,
Mhm.
because it's
Yeah.
authentic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like I stumbled upon it, but God knew it was going to be this way all along. I just had to come up to speed.
they it's called spiritual timing. I feel, you know, they know. I mean, I say they because God and his angels and everybody else, they know where we're supposed to end up, but it's up to us to see whether or not we listen to those messages. And you know, there's the choice whether we do it that way or do it something different.
Right. The gift of
Mhm.
choice. And we detour on, on this road called life, we detour sometimes, but he has a very loving way. Sometimes we got to go through something to get back on track, but hopefully we all end up getting back on track.
Well, that's it. Yeah, because I know God does not bargain, but I say, you know, I think I'm done this lifetime. So, but we'll see what happens. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll know. But so you know, I know you're spiritual. I mean, there's so much about you that is absolutely amazing. How important is spirituality to you? You know,
Very,
big question. Mhm.
very important. And I was raised in a household. So my mom, and she was very spiritual, and she took us to church every Sunday whenever the doors was open. And you get a certain age, right?
Mhm.
And you rebel against everything because now you're a certain age, right?
I
And
know
then if
that.
you in a strict household, once you get that certain age, you do and try everything you big enough, bad enough, grown enough to do and try. So I strayed, came back, then strayed again, got caught up in my career. And it really took that suddenly healthcare crisis to bring me back full circle to where I know I'm supposed to be from a spiritual place, in my relationship with God. And so now, that is my number one priority. So that journey for me, honestly, Barbara, was a spiritual journey. Yeah, it was a health crisis, but it proved to be more of a spiritual journey for me. So very, very important. I now have my priorities back on track, got
Mhm.
my head back on straight, and spirituality is my priority now, my
Yeah,
relationship, my personal walk.
that's how I feel also, because I've been through, you know, migraines, broken nose because I wasn't listening. I mean, there's a whole
Mm,
bunch of stories I can say, but
mm,
And a lot of it was me not listening to those voices that were telling me, be careful or don't, and think, oh, well, I'm fine. Nothing will happen. But boy, a lot did happen from the age of 12 on. So,
Wow.
and thank you, God, the past 10 years it's been good. So
Yes, thank God, thank God. But that's a good point you make, though. We have to learn to actually, first, we have to know the voice, right? We have to know his voice and discern. And when we hear it, we've got to listen. We got to obey and listen to it.
Oh, without a doubt. I just maybe about 16 years, I kept on hearing, Barbara, don't walk in text, don't walk in talk, with my phone. And that message was going on for at least 2 months. And I kept on just like, it's okay, And then one day, here I am walking and talking, and my husband is alongside of me, and I didn't see a cement thing on the where we parked, and I ended up falling over the cement slab and hitting my whole face on the sidewalk. People running out, and he tried to grab me, but unfortunately he took my jacket off instead of grabbing my arm.
Oh.
And all I can remember was saying, ow, and I figured, oh, I was okay, because I was still conscious. But then when I got up, it was a mess. So I ended up crushing my nose. I mean, I was a mess.
Oh my God.
And from that point forward, I said, I will never not listen. I will no longer walk and talk or text or any of that. And it's been about 17 years now. And
wow.
And I remember the doctor looking at me and telling me, whoosh, you're lucky, because a little more we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, and the thing is, as I'm falling, I can feel an angelic wing underneath me. But I was supposed to get really hurt in order to truly understand, number one, they saved me, but to understand, we're talking to you and you're not listening.
My God.
What a lesson, let me tell you. Whew.
Wow. And some people call it their intuition. But whatever you call it, when you hear that still small voice, listen.
Listen. Yep. And,
yes.
Yeah, I call it my voiceless voices, my angelic, loved ones, spirit, whomever. But yeah, they do help us. They can't stop, they'll help us to an extent, but of course they, if something is meant to be, it's supposed to be, if that's our journey. But I'm just very grateful I'm still here.
Yes, I'm grateful you're still here too, else I wouldn't have met you.
Exactly. And I wouldn't have met some of my grandchildren, so that would have been tough. But so yeah, getting back to you, so you wrote that one book, and now from what you have another book, right, in the making, or you released it?
I just released it.
Okay.
Yes, it's called There Must Be Balance. Your Health Matters. I released it on the 8th of September, which was my 50th birthday. So all these 8s, right? And so basically, let me tell you, that book was written, edited, published. It's on Amazon in 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Wow.
And again, we talk about the voice, and we hear the voice, right? That still small voice said to me, everything I needed to write this book was in this purple loose leaf binder downstairs in the office. This binder contains a lot of either what I've spoke on stages, some of what I spoke about in Spirit of a Warrior, the book, what I probably preached or taught on at church. Yeah. And so I pulled from that, what needed to be pulled from that, and came and wrote this book and got it published. It was released in 3 weeks' time. And basically it's about balance and how a lack of balance, right? A lack of work-life balance we're trying to be so successful that we're neglecting ourselves to the point to where we don't spend time with family. We don't take time out to play, to laugh. We're not eating right. We're not even taking breaks during the day to go pee. Yeah, I said pee, potty breaks, not taking breaks from the computer, stretch breaks. It's got to be balanced, because the imbalance in any one wellness dimension or domain creates disharmony throughout our entire being. So it's all about the balance and how lack of that affects our health. And then at the end of the book, I do have a section for journaling, right? Go figure, right? And I ask several key questions that I usually ask my coaching clients anyway, because the book is intended for people to think. It's a short read, right? But it's not meant to just read right through. It's meant to make people think about their current health status, where they want to see themselves 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, and what's the plan of how to get there. Help them to try to figure out their why and how they're going to get there, because we've got to start taking our health more seriously. We've got to. If COVID has taught us nothing else, we've got to have balance, and we've got to make health and well-being a lifestyle.
Do you feel some people just don't know where to start?
I do. I do feel a lot of it is they don't know where to start. They want to, because I believe people have good intentions, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how. And again, it goes back to going to the doctor, right? You see them 5 minutes. You've been there an hour waiting. You see them 5 minutes, but with their workload and everything, they don't always have the time. And now that COVID, they're so much more overwhelmed. There's no teaching. There's no walking patients through the how do I do this?
Yeah, I can see it with the doctors here. He wasn't giving me answers, so I had to look for somebody different that can help me. And with the thyroid, with the nodules, right. And I'm happy I did. Because he spent 5 minutes with me, and it was like, oh yeah, well, don't worry, just have your ultrasound every 6 months, and right. And I'm saying to myself, oh, this just don't feel right. It just we have to listen more to us, I feel.
Right. You're right. We have to. First, you have to know your own body, right? To be able to pinpoint and point out, nah, something ain't right. This ain't what's going on. It's not. And then you have to be your own patient advocate.
Oh, we have to be. Yes, without a doubt. You can't just take their word from it. Yeah, you have to do a little research.
Yeah. Yeah. And more than just Google, right?
Yes.
Because in this day and age, we Google everything. You know, back in our days, it was Merriam-Webster dictionary and encyclopedias and stuff. But now we're in the age of Google. No, you can't just Google it, because that might not be your situation. Right. And everything is not textbook. Everything's not textbook. The day that I went into the emergency room, August of 2017, because I was having difficulty breathing out of nowhere. Run up a flight of steps and I'm short of breath. I done ran marathons. Why am I short of breath running up a flight of stairs, right? Go to the emergency room because I'm like, this ain't right. Something's wrong here. And even though it was just a spot at that time, right? And I mean a spot to where it was no bigger than a pinprick, God allowed the radiologist to see that small spot. And then from there, I got it, got with a provider who could monitor it, because had I not listened to my body, who knows when they would have saw that spot, it would have been probably spread but before they saw it, because when it did begin to grow in a biopsy, they said it was rapid spreading.
Oh,
it was that tight.
Wow.
Tumor. So we got to listen.
Yeah, we
got to know our bodies,
and so many people listen. They're afraid to go to the doctor on what they're going to hear. Because I hear that a lot from my clients. Well, I've been having a pain here or there, but I'm afraid, maybe there's going to be something bad. Well, it could be something really bad if you just leave it alone.
They got to catch there's certain things, and even that, which led me to the ER that day, was unusual.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened to his voice leading me. You know, you got you. It can be scary. Let's be real, Barbara. It can be scary, but if it is something not good, early detection. The earlier we catch things, the favorable the outcome.
Oh, without a doubt. So, what do you do for yourself, to practice like self-care practices, and what do you do daily for yourself? I'm just curious.
Daily, number one, I start my day in prayer and meditation, my quiet time with my cup of hot elderberry tea. I pull out my Bible, I pray, I meditate, get direction throughout the day, and just give gratitude. When I open up my mouth, the first thing comes out of my mouth is thank you. I thank God. I'm grateful. So every day starts with gratitude. I take time to pray and meditate, and I try to be diligent with my exercise, get out for my walks. It's just certain things that, and I just try to just live my life positive in a positive way. I don't let negative stuff come in my, no. I don't have time for negativity, toxic things and people and all of that. So that's every day right there, every single day. And then, I try to feed, put good food in my body, because I don't like to use titles, just put it this way. I'm about 90% plant-based. Every now and then I have the taste for a lobster tail or some wild salmon or wild shrimp. But other than that, I'm pretty much plant-based, and I drink lots of water. These are just things that's every day for me. But I just try to just be positive, and prayer, meditation, even my mindfulness meditation, because that's the thing too. We have to take time out during the day to just be still, be and breathe. That is one of my key sayings, just breathe and be. Yeah.
I love when I sit and my mind is completely empty. It's complete silence. And that's where I feel that feeling, of course, of appreciation and gratitude and everything else. But that's when I really feel in my heart is when I'm healing, is when I just stay still for 5 minutes or however, much time, because that's what we need. We need to, pause.
Yes. And it's okay.
No.
It is. I think people think they just got to be busy doing something. I used to be one of those people. I know. I thought if I wasn't busy doing something, I was being unproductive.
Yes.
But that to me is a lie. That's one of the biggest lies ever. It's okay to sit still and not do nothing and not be thinking about nothing in particular.
Yeah, that's what I do sometimes. And I say, it's okay. I can just sit still and do nothing. We're good, Barbara. Don't feel guilty about it or anything like that. You need that time. Yeah. And then, of course, then we get a lot of, all of a sudden, inspiration. And then, like for myself, I may all of a sudden write an article because I stayed still, and all these messages start coming into my head.
Exactly. We got to be still so that we can hear and get what we need to get. And don't you come back when you spend those still, quiet moments, don't you come back feeling refreshed?
I feel like I've slept for an hour, like a nap or something.
And then you're able to really be productive then.
Yes, because we took the time to respect our bodies.
Exactly.
And I know when I wake up in the morning, I always say, thank you, God, that my eyes are open, and thank you, God, that I can get out of bed on my own. So
come on, the things that we take. I was one of those people too, Barbara. I took getting up in the morning for granted, being able to run and walk and do everything, bathe myself, feed myself, until that suddenly healthcare crisis, which, by the way, those chemo treatments put me in a congestive heart failure, and I ended up going in a cardiac arrest. And had to, when I recovered and came out that coma and off all those machines, my muscles were so weak, I couldn't even stand up on my own 2 feet by myself. When I left the hospital, they sent me to an inpatient rehab facility where I had to work with OT and PT. I was in a wheelchair, all of that. So we sometimes take for granted the fact that we are able to wash ourselves, cook for ourselves, walk, run, do the things we do. No, 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 not anymore. I had to ask for forgiveness for that because I was one of those people.
Oh,
Yeah.
myself also. And then a few years ago, I had a hip replacement. And after that, I said, wow. Then I looked at people in wheelchairs and on crutches. I said, wow, that's so hard because, I had to use a crutch or a wheelchair or, walker for a few weeks. And it made me see things a lot differently. And and people just, I think a lot of people just don't understand if they see someone walking slowly across the street and they become impatient with that person, but you don't know what that person has gone through.
Right. That's right. That's right. And you can be from, like I was, healthy as a horse, no health issues, to a suddenly in the blink of an eye, and it will change your whole life.
It does.
So,
it does. Believe me, it does.
it does.
And I know, for myself, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then you really look and say, wow, I have so much to be grateful for.
Yes. Yes. Amen to that. Yes, indeed.
And it's not about material, because material, I say when you have your health, you have everything that you need.
It sounds cliche, but it's a true saying.
Yeah.
Your health is your wealth.
Yes.
Because when you are healthy, you can get out here and make money, collect your coins, all of that. But when you are sick, you can't do nothing. You can't make money. All of the stuff does not matter. All you want is your health back.
And I know, boy, do I know. So yeah. And as I said, I thank God every day. Every day. And I, for everything, because I'm able to, do the podcast. I'm able to go to work and help my clients. And yeah, it's complete gratitude and appreciation.
Yes. And you being the spiritual, I love what the spiritual warrior. I love that. See, this was a divine connection. You are the spiritual warrior. I am the spirit of a warrior.
Yes. It's funny because I got the name, I was sitting in this chair, turned off all my lights, and I said, all right, I want to do a podcast because for 3 years now, I've been listening to do it, but I didn't know how to until I finally found someone that taught me how to. And I didn't want to name it Motivate Your Life, because that's the name of my website, motivateyourlife.net. And so I sat and I heard them say, spiritual warrior coach. And I chuckled because I said, oh yeah, you really think it's going to be available? So then I heard, just look. So I went on the internet and looked, and I said, oh my, the .com and the .net was available. And so I thanked them 500 million times over, because the name, the spiritual warrior coach, felt so right.
Yeah.
It felt so right. And it's amazing when we're given. Now, had I poo-pooed it, you want to say, and didn't go on the internet, I probably would have lost the .com and .net.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Wow. But the listening to that voice, listening to that still small voice, I call it. It's still small voice. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm glad you listened.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm glad I found the spirit of a warrior. You. It's amazing how it just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens.
That's when you know that it's something bigger than you.
Yes, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, when it just happens, there's no angst, there's nothing that you could have done on your own.
No, it was you were given to me. So I know you were given to me. And I said, wow, thank you.
And how ironic, we're both from New York. from the boroughs.
I know. I mean, I was born in Coney Island, so
right down the Belt Parkway. I'm in
that's
Jamaica,
right.
Queens. How ironic!
I know. It's crazy. And you're a September baby, and so am I.
Look, I'm 5 days after yours.
Uh-huh.
Wow, divine connection.
Divine
I believe this
connection.
is divine connection.
Yeah. And so I just go with the flow of it. I say, all right, this is meant to be.
Yeah.
And so all right, getting back to you now.
Talking about me. You said you're more interesting.
I know you have a radio show and a global podcast show. So what inspired you to do both of those?
Oh my goodness. Okay, the podcast was first. And I started podcasting in March of 2019 when I was still on chemotherapy treatments. And I started as a 10-minute segment on someone else's show.
Oh.
Health Chat with Coach Jean began as a 10-minute segment on someone else's show. Fast forward about a year and 3 months later in May of 2020, the producer was like, look, you've been on this other person's show. I like what you're doing. I've been looking for a show like yours. What do you say? So here I am. Well, I need to pray about it. I don't know. And then I wanted to check with the person whose show I was on to let them know the opportunity that arose, because I'm just loyal like that. And that was only the right thing to do. And I prayed about it. And then, I heard the small voice telling me do it. And so Health Chat with Coach Jean podcast was born June of 2020. And then fast forward to March of this year, someone that I knows someone at the radio station here in Atlanta. Oh, Nurse Coach Jean, she has this podcast. What do you think about it for a radio show? The rest is history.
Wow. Good for you. Isn't it amazing, right?
It is amazing. And it is the show where we debate, debunk, educate, empower, and inspire, as well as bring awareness to all things related to health, healing, and holistic well-being, body, mind, soul, and spirit.
Geez, see, would you ever think that you would be doing that?
No, I was a soldier and a nurse. Look, first of all, I always said, and I told my husband this, when I retired from the Army, I was not going to be like him, go work another full-time job somewhere for nobody else. I was going to really be retired. That's what I said, right?
Yeah.
And then all of this started transpiring. So one of my girlfriends said, girl, you ain't retired. You just refired. I was like, ooh.
That's a good one.
I like that. Yeah, she right, though.
Yeah, that's true. You are refired. And now you're helping so many people with both shows and your courses and everything else that you do. See, it's all meant to be.
I'm just grateful to be able to I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it all. I really, really am.
So it's a wonderful feeling, believe me. I know. I know when over the years, I also am an author of a book. And over the years, while I was writing it, I wasn't writing a book. I was actually using what I was doing to teach other students energy healing and about energy protection and a lot of that. And during one of my classes here in California, one of the students said, oh, you should write a book. And I said, I don't know, I don't know if I can write great English. I mean, I was from Brooklyn, so I wasn't quite sure what I was capable of doing, but they're capable of doing a lot of good stuff, believe me. And I realize that now. And so I put it all together, and she said, oh, send it out to publishers. And my friends back east said, oh my God, now who's going to publish your book? What are you, crazy? And then I said, I heard my grandma, all for that moment, tell me, because she used to call me Babacita, and she said, Babacita, if anyone says anything negative about you, or if you think negative about yourself, take those thoughts, throw them on the ground, stomp on them, but send them down to Mother Earth with love and light and healing. So that's exactly what I did. And I said, all right, be confident in yourself and your abilities. Just send it out. If they say no, that's okay too. They didn't say no.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't, I couldn't believe it. So But yeah, we need to believe in ourselves.
We do.
Just like you writing 2 books. I mean, oh my God, that's incredible.
I would have never thought, not in a million years.
No.
First of all, I was still supposed to be in the Army. I was going to stay another 5+ years or so. And I would have never imagined me doing any of this.
Any of it. Mm-hmm.
Any of it.
It's amazing when all of a sudden, we become our true, authentic selves. It's like no other thing. It's hard to describe actually how it feels.
Yeah.
It's complete fulfillment.
Yeah.
And then we're helping others, which is another unbelievable feeling.
Mm-hmm. And it's so natural. It just occurs so natural. And you're in your element and you're like, where have I been all this other time before?
I know. I tell myself that same question. Where have you been? What took you so long? You're in your 70s now. You should have done this back a long time ago. But I know for me, it's never too late.
Right.
Never
exactly. It's never too late.
No, just go for it.
And age is just a number.
Exactly.
You're only as old as you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Age is just a number. Just go for it.
Go for it.
Just do it. Like Nike says, right? Just do it.
I know, just do it. I know. Yeah. Well,
if it doesn't turn out the way you want to, at least you tried. That's one thing you never have to say, I wonder what if I would have.
Exactly. I know for myself, all the coulda, woulda, shoulda's, no more. Bye-bye. I don't need the coulda, woulda, shoulda's. It's all, what can I do? How can I do it? How can I get it done? Setting my goals, helping others, helping me. And that's what matters.
That's what matters.
Wow. I can't believe you served all those years in the Army. That's unbelievable.
Well, that's better than what I hear. Wait a minute. You were in the Army? You carried a weapon? You went to Iraq? But they see me looking semi-decent.
Wow. It's like, whew. I don't think I'm capable of doing that.
You say that, but you would be surprised. I didn't think I was. I mean, I ended up in war, and I'm like, first of all, no one goes in the military thinking they're going to war. And then you end up in war, and you're like, I don't know if I could do this. And then probably about 30 days, a month or two into it, you're like, I got this. Okay. I'm just waiting for the time to go by. Like, are we leaving yet?
Yeah, exactly. How long did you serve in Iraq?
13 months.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time. But wow. Yeah. I'm sure it taught you a lot.
Oh yeah. You better believe it. Taught me a lot about a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But some of that is for another show.
I can imagine. That's probably going to be a 2-hour show.
Ooh, buddy. Ooh, yeah.
I am so thrilled that you came on. You have no idea.
I'm so glad. We talked about a week ago, right? And we could have talked all day. But I know your podcast don't last all day. But I feel like I could just talk with you all day.
That's how I feel with you.
I enjoy our conversations.
I know we have so much to talk about. So I have to have you on again. Believe me. Again.
Well, you'll be on my show too.
Yes.
So I'm looking so forward to that.
Oh, I am too. Believe me. So, can you tell my listeners where they can get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah. Now that's the easy part right there. You can get a hold of me, Nurse Coach Jean Turner, at www.spiritofawarrior.life.
I love that name. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I cannot give you enough thank yous. Believe me. You are my hero. I want to say, I look at you and I say, wow, tell me, someone that has done this and brave and courageous. And I salute you. I salute you.
Well, thank you. I salute you.
Well,
I salute you and thank you so
yeah.
much for inviting me to be a part of your show and for the opportunity to serve and to share. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Well, thank you so much. And I just want to thank everybody, for listening, and a real big thank you to you, Jean. So Jean Turner. So, look her up. Give your website one more time.
www.spiritofawarrior.life.
And let me tell you, she is a spirit of a warrior. So, I hope you all needed to hear what you needed to hear, because this conversation was absolutely wonderful. And again, thank you so much for listening today. And visit me at motivateyourlife.net. And please visit my YouTube channels. One is Barbara Savin, which I have some grounding meditations and sleep and some other stuff, but the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. So when this goes live, please subscribe and like it, because this interview today was incredible. So again, thank you for listening. Visit me again at motivateyourlife.net, and have a beautiful, beautiful week filled with love and with light. Love, Barbara.